Greetings, COM 4330 students. By now, you've had an opportunity to become well familiar with the class and the way that our online section will work. However, at this point, I wanted to take a moment and to answer some questions that I've received via email and to clear up anything that may not be familiar with you. I just clicked on the course timeline, and I wanted to share with you guys some updates that you may have noticed that I mentioned in my course announcements, but that you may have also noticed in our course timeline. So today at 11:30 p.m., your LinkedIn assignment is due. On tomorrow, Friday, July 20th, your organizational checklist is due, and then on Monday, you'll have a research session online with your group members. And so this is just a list of the updated dates of assignments that we have due in the class. And just to keep you all abreast, the reason that these assignments were updated was due to our Friday, July 13th class not being released on time and you all not being able to complete the online training. So let's go back and let's look at a couple of things in the class. So your daily readings and assignments. Week 1 is still available with the hope and intentions that you all have had an opportunity to read the Confronting Bias, Thriving Across Our Differences. This week 1 information will close today. Week 2 is available. And just as a reminder, your LinkedIn profile is due today by 11:30. If I have not accepted your LinkedIn profile request, please do so no later than 5 o'clock today, because you will need to upload a screenshot here of our friendship on LinkedIn. Going back, you also have an assignment due on Friday, and it's your organizational checklist submission. Now, as a reminder, this is an assignment that's due from only one member of your group. And so I pulled up the organizational checklist grading rubric. And while I'm pulling this information up, I'm going to take a point of personal privilege and go back and look at the final project folder. So this is the project overview folder. All of the information that you will need for the rest of your time working on your final project is due here. It's my hope that everyone has had an opportunity to go in and review the training example that every group will complete, and that everyone has had an opportunity to look at the overall training session grading rubric and the training session team assessment. As a reminder, you will receive an individual grade for your personal performance on the final project, and each group will receive a grade on the organizational checklist, the needs assessment, task analysis, training proposal, and your training session materials, and completing all group members' training sessions. So, each group should have noticed, or each member of the class should have noticed, that your group became available on Tuesday morning. And so I'm not going to click into this group because I'm not officially a member of the training group number 1. I just allowed this to be an example for the purpose of the class. And so there are 4 groups in the class, and essentially each group will create a training session similar to the one here on the Easy Generator. And then all members of the class will complete 3 different training sessions from your classmates. And that's what the training session is here. And you will submit the training certificates from each of those classes, those groups. So, just as a point of information about the class, that if it hasn't been conveyed or there's not a clear understanding, that I don't mind clearing up for you all. The purpose of the training and development course for students that are on the corporate communication track is to learn more about what it means to be an organizational trainer and an organizational learning and development specialist. And so we've had an opportunity to engage in quite a few discussions related to what it means to be a trainer and what it means for organizations to have training and development sessions. And in particular, we looked at this information in the class on Wednesday. So jobs and talent development, talent management, and things that you'll do, as well as the chapter 12, which is the last chapter in our textbook that focuses on the various jobs and training. And so essentially, your final project in our course will lead to each group completing a training. And so when we go back and we look at the assignment that's due for Friday or tomorrow, it's the organizational checklist and the rubric. Students will use their tools that they've learned from taking COM 4310, Organizational Communication, and if you've taken COM 3340, Communication and Leadership, to create an organization that must be trained. And so the organizational checklist essentially allows students the opportunity to create an organization that has an issue. And so you will provide a list of the first organization, which will be your training consultant team. And then you will create a second organization, which is an imaginary organization that requires some form of training. And so for this organizational checklist, each team, so training and development, training group 1, will create 2 organizations. And so you will create your consultant team, and you will create a name, a motto, a logo, and a list of duties, responsibilities, qualifications, and a title for each member of your consultant team. Hence the reason why this assignment has been moved after we've looked at chapter 12. Then you will create a second organization, and this is the organization that requires some form of training. So another way to look at this will be to look at an example of our online training module. And I'll pull the module up so that we can look at this together. And so the course, the first organization was Excel Expressions Consulting Team. And so that group consisted of students that were in the class, like you, that created their first organization, which was their consultant team. And so they created the consultant team, and that's when they had a list, and they had the organizational motto, they had their organizational logo. And I'm saying all this as I'm logging in. And so they created this organization, Excel Expressions Consultant. And when they looked at this particular organization, they looked to see that the organization that they had created was actually a fragmented organization. And so they needed to train the members of the organization on emotional intelligence. And so this is exactly what you'll be doing throughout the course of the semester. You're going to create an online training very similar to this. Feel free to use this e-learning easy generator. And feel free to use this particular training as a guide. And so they introduce themselves, which is what essentially you'll be doing for your organizational outline. And then they created the training. And this is what we see in the left-hand corner. And so these are areas that they created with the training. And so throughout your time in this class, you and your group members will work to create individual modules for organizations. So this is the overall grading rubric that will be used for the entire class, which provides a breakdown of all of the assignments for the course. So the organizational checklist, which is due tomorrow, where you'll create 2 different organizations. You'll create your consultant team, and then you'll create an organization that needs to be trained. So for example, your consultant team, if I were a student, I would create the Murray Group Consultant Team, and I would follow the organizational checklist and create a motto, an organizational logo, a list of duties of people in my organization. So I would have an organizational trainer, a task analyst, I would have a presenter. These are just examples. I would create a list of responsibilities, the qualifications. So if you go back and look at the example of the e-learning trainer that I just shared with you guys, how they have their trainer introductions, that's a list of qualifications that I'm referring to for students to create. And then I would create an organization to be trained. So right now, the first thing that I thought about was a shoe company, similar to Nike, but we're going to call it Hyphy. And Hyphy is currently engaged in a communication conflict with members of the organization. And so that's why I said you'll use your thinking skills that you learned in COM and organization and COM and leadership to think about issues that organizations experience. And so you can create, and I would create an organization from Hyphy that looks at how there's a cultural difference with members of the organization. And so essentially the Murray Group throughout the course of the semester will work with Hyphy to create a training based on culture, and how can this training make sure that all members of the organization are actually experiencing culture at the same level. Now, I hope that is clear to you all. If not, please feel free to send me as many emails as possible so that I can reply via email and make additional videos for you guys. We can also set up a couple of Zoom chats to discuss how to make this clearer for you guys. The next item that you all will work on completing is a needs assessment. So what exactly does this organization need training on? So the Murray Group consulting firm has been hired by Hyphy, and we think that they need training on culture. But once we actually create the needs assessment for the organization, we realize that there's conflict in the organization that's not solely related to culture, but it's related to members of the organization not having clear emotional intelligence. But we won't find that out until we do the needs assessment. The task analysis looks a little closer at what it means to actually create the training step by step by step. And then the training proposal is your official document inviting your classmates to create the training. And so there are the rubrics here that's available. And if it will help you all out some more, I'll be happy to provide additional examples of what a training proposal looks like, what a task analysis looks like, and what a needs assessment looks like. And that's if you all actually need that material. I'll be more than happy to create a folder in the final project that says final project examples, and I'll do that for you all. In addition, we're going to go back and I'm going to quickly look at our timeline. And so just as a heads up, please make sure that you get the LinkedIn assignment to me no later than 5 o'clock today so that I can confirm our friendship. Please remember to look at the items that I suggested in my daily announcement yesterday, the reasons why I will accept your friendship. Your group's organizational checklist is due. Make sure this is in a Word document and one group member